Hello and welcome to part 24 of the UBIK solution. In this video we're going to take a look at the hands, which is more or less all we need to finish this solution off. There are a few other areas that I want to address, but the hands is the most important thing I want to address here. So as you can see, nothing happens when the hands doesn't really move when I turn these the debug controllers. So that is what we're going to have a look at. If we go to the UBIK component, I'm actually going to close all the other tabs and we're going to start inside the convert transform. You might remember that at some point I was talking about a wrist of a kind, and that is actually what I will continue with in this video. So instead of just entirely working off the hands, we are also going to tackle the wrists. So as you can see, the wrists is actually what seems to be the driving effector at the moment. If you look closely at how it's modeled at this stage here, you can see it more or less hits the wrist joint of the character here. And that by itself is not a problem, but the problem arises when you look at how you rotate. Let me see if I can see my hand. If you look at how you rotate your hand, the rotation is actually happening from that joint here. So when you do this movement, the tracking point is actually off a little bit. That is going to be more visible. I'm going to show why this is a problem once we get a little bit further into this video here. So anyway, for now let's just keep working with the left hand effector, but we're going to do some changes inside the convert transform. If we expand the component space here, we can see we have a left hand effector and a right hand effector in component space already, so we don't need to do the conversion, space conversion, as we did with the left and the right elbow. So we can just proceed into the NMBP here and into the event graph, where we can extract the rotations here. So let's duplicate just one of these rotations. Call hand L and hand R. So I'm just going to move these to the top. You don't really need to do this. I just prefer to have them at the top here. So let's see. Just going to check something. Okay, yes. So we have the UBIK component. We're just gonna, expand all the way out here, and then pull out the left hand. Get left hand effector in component space. So this one. Break this open and plug that into the hand L here. Like this. And similarly, we are going to do this for the right hand. Okay, and if we go to the animation blueprint graph, we have the lower arm and we have the lower left arm and the lower right arm here. So we're just going to move this a little bit to the side because we need the space to append this. So here we have the lower arm, and also going to make a little bit more space here. And let's just duplicate this one. And here we plug in the left hand. Make sure to change the bone to the left hand and plug that in here. And let's also do it for the right. And remember to change the bone to the right hand. So now when we hit play, we can see that the hands are actually getting rotated. So it just happens to be that we need some offsets for these, and again you can easily just experiment with some values yourself, or you can just use the values that I'm going to provide for you in this video here. So we're going to make some space here and do a combine rotators, and again make sure to add it in local space, so it should look like this. And the values that we're going to apply here, it's going to be 180 here and minus 25 degrees. So the 25 degrees is how you angle your hands. So these will be particularly useful if you have a different set of controllers. You might have to change these. And again, you can use this debug function that we created last time, I believe. Or was it the last time again? Inside the UBIK component, this get debug values. You can drag in some values if you need to by accessing the UBIK component, get debug values, and then split this, and then split these, and then drag them in here like that. That's one way of doing it, and then experiment through some values that you see that works better for you. So that was anyway, I'm just going to remove that. That was the left hand, so let's get some values for the right hand, and it's going to be almost the same. I'm just going to copy this over here, combine this with 180, and then 25, like this. So when we now hit play, we're going to see something looking like this. And you may notice the hands or the effector here is a little bit off where it should be. That is actually sort of expected, because if you look closely at the way we calculate these, we can see that it might be a little bit difficult to see, but if we move inside the character here, we can see that that point here is not necessarily directly where the joint of the skeleton is, and that the length of the bones are not exactly the length. It's a little bit too long, so the angles that it calculates are going to be wrong. That's what I'm trying to say here. So we could try and adjust these a little bit, but I wouldn't spend too much time on it at this point. But what I mean is, if we go to, what do we call this from? The calibrate. Yeah. So if we were providing one instead of 184, we could give something like 183 and see if that fits a little bit better. It does seem like it's closer to this joint here. I don't know if 182 closer. Well, it's still a little bit off. Anyway, at this point, I'm not too worried about it. You can do some things to fix this problem, which I may mention later on, but I'm not going to show exactly how I would do it. I think it's kind of matter of preferences anyway. So anyway, what we have now is some hands that rotate. We can see the rotations have an effect on the arms as well. So that is actually pretty good. So what I was talking about was that I wanted to create something that was using the wrist instead. Because let me just start this off in and you know what? Maybe I should break this up into 2 videos. Let me just check how much time. So we have 10 minutes on the video at the moment. Because it takes a little bit time to do this, so we may actually do this in a separate video. What the hell? Owner no see was checked off for some reason. That's funny. Okay, now it's visible anyway. But now you can see that the hands they work kind of, but the thing is, when I touch my hand, I'm touching, I don't know if you can see that on the webcam, kind of here. This is why I touch my hand, but as you can see, it's more or less on the wrist. So it is actually pretty okay. That's funny. The only problem I see currently is that the character is kind of not calibrated to my size. So as you can see, my arm can stretch way further than the hand can actually reach, and that is maybe going to be a problem. Anyway, let me just address this in the next video, because I'm going to add in a wrist handling, which will be kind of a thing you can decide to use, and you can just ignore it for now if it seems okay for you. So that's basically what I had for this video. I'm gonna stop here and then continue in the next with some thoughts about how to work with a wrist. So stay tuned if you want. Otherwise, see you guys later. Bye.